Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the GM. It is your guy, Boulanger, and up next on the GM, how the Baltimore Ravens can avoid a Dallas Cowboy kind of fate. Wild Card Weekend in review. Do me a quick favor, hit like. If it is your first time checking out the GM, hit subscribe. Also, hit the notification bell so that you get updates when we upload new content. Let's talk about it. So, Wild Card Weekend is in the books, and round two matchups are set. Baltimore will take on the Texans. Baltimore at home. Buffalo will take on the Chiefs. Buffalo at home. The 49ers will take on the Green Bay Packers. Niners are at home, and the Detroit Lions will take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Detroit is at home. And when you hear that, what you hear is all of the top seeds took advantage of being at home except for the Dallas Cowboys. And the truth is, I believe there's five things that I saw from Dallas that caused them to really get blown out despite what the scoreboard says at the end of the game. And I think these five things the Baltimore Ravens must avoid doing in order to get this win on Sunday. Number one is the Baltimore Ravens must come out and be who they are supposed to be. What that speaks to is character. When you consider who the Baltimore Ravens have shown themselves to be for 17 games this year, on the defensive side of the ball, they have shown up and been good to great. Yes, the Baltimore Ravens defense have had some games where they gave up 100 yards rushing to a single rusher. Yes, the Baltimore Ravens have had some games where they didn't set the edge. Yes, the Baltimore Ravens gave up a few big plays here and there in the past game. But for the most part of the season, the Baltimore Ravens have been good to great at every level of the defense. Our secondary has been right place, right time all year long, even to the point where Geno Stone led our team with 7 interceptions as a fill in for Marcus Williams. When you think about Patrick Queen and Roquan Smith, both Pro Bowlers this year, they played sideline to sideline, downhill, smash mouth kind of football. And the only times they didn't is when, the front three, you know, got pushed around a little bit, which was those games where teams ran the ball very well against us. When you think about the edge rushing, you have two reclamation projects, one in Jadavian Clowney, one in Calvin Noy, both with 9+ sacks each this year, which is amazing for our defense. And then when you think about the interior line, you had Metabuke 13 sacks this year. You had Michael Pierce, who signed an extension. Because of his play, pushing the pocket, and Broderick Washington, who didn't show up a whole lot this year, but I guess he played pretty consistent. And so from front to back, we've been good to great all year long. When we jump to the offensive side of the ball, who have the Baltimore Ravens been this year? Well, early, first 8 or 9 games, the Baltimore Ravens were learning their offense. I think a part of that learning curve was having guys in and out of the lineup. You had Odell in and out, Bateman in and out. You had J.K. Dobbins in early, out early, out after that, and was out the rest of the season. And you had Ronnie Stanley in and out. You had Mason, not Mason, but Morgan Moses. You had him, missing a few games. And so what you saw, or what we've seen over the last 6 to 7 games, is a Baltimore Ravens team who have developed a chemistry and a camaraderie on the offensive side of the ball that has caused them to put on good performances. The Baltimore Ravens offensively have gotten rid of those silly turnovers. They had a few. We saw a fumble in the Pittsburgh game, last game of the season. I think Lamar had one interception down the stretch of the season, and so all of the mishaps and miscommunications have been cleaned up and will need to stay cleaned up. That's what I mean. Be who they're supposed to be. Be who they've shown themselves to be, uh, as it pertains to character, because character isn't who you pretend to be. Character is who you are, no matter the situation. And that's what the Baltimore Ravens need to do on Saturday. The thing that you saw from Dallas, specifically being at home this weekend, Dallas had been a rock solid team at home, winning home games by a margin of 15 points per game, averaging roughly 40 points per game, and you didn't see any of that, which means they did not be who they had shown themselves to be during the regular season. Defensively, Dallas had shown up at home consistently. On Sunday, or whenever they played this weekend, they didn't show up. They didn't show who they had shown themselves to be, and that cost them dearly. Number two, the second thing the Baltimore Ravens must avoid this weekend, not to end up with a Dallas fate, is they must establish the run. Now, the Baltimore Ravens have been one of, if not the best run team, no matter who produces the yards for us. They've been one of the better run teams in the league all year long, and and so we must show up and be that team. We need to take the run this week and allow it to set up the run. When you consider Dallas, um, Dallas did not allow themselves a chance to set the run up, which was, I'm sure, a part of their game plan. Once the Green Bay Packers showed that they were going to not allow Dak to have free reign to CeeDee Lamb, they should have been able to establish the run at least off the edge with Pollard's speed. They did not do that successfully. That offensive line, and that's a part of the offensive line play, that offensive line did not show up this weekend, and they were not effective. So the Baltimore Ravens must establish the run early on in the game. Number three, the Baltimore Ravens must not get out coached. The coaching job that Green Bay put on display on Sunday, or whatever they played, was pretty amazing. What you saw from Matt LaFleur was a game plan that said, you know what? Dallas has been vulnerable against the run, more on the road than at home, but we're going to see what they're made of. They came out, they ran right at Dallas. They didn't try to run off the edges. They ran right at Dallas uh, this weekend and ran the ball right down their throat, which then set the play action pass up perfectly. When you saw that play where Jordan Love faked the ball to Aaron Jones, dropped back and launched it, uh, I think Romeo Dobbs, I believe is his name, wide open down the right side of the field. That was due to the run game being established, which which was a part of LaFleur's coaching plan, and it was executed perfectly. When you think about the coaching plan from the defense side of the ball for Green Bay, you saw them say, hey, you're not going to have CeeDee Lamb. And what you saw was Dallas not be able to adjust. Dallas should have had an assumption that they were going to try and take away CeeDee Lamb in this game. But Dallas didn't have a plan or a response to even make an adjustment. And they kind of fell on their face. The Baltimore Ravens must avoid that mistake. Mike McDonald all year long has drawn up good to great game plans in big time matchups. When we played Detroit, big time game plan snuffed Detroit out. When we played against San Francisco, great game plan snuffed San Francisco out. When we played Miami, great game plan snuffed them out as well. Excuse me. And so when you think about it, we've had game plans that were perfect for our competition, and we must implement our game plan and follow it, not getting out coached offensively. When specifically when we faced off against the 49ers, it was very, very clear that they decided not to rush a whole lot to kind of hold their lanes. And Lamar Jackson was able to take advantage of that. I think that that was in a in-game adjustment. That's a coaching move. And when you so when you see Todd Monken make in-game adjustments, which he didn't do well early, but he has done great over the last 6 to 7 games, you saw those successful outcomes happen on the field. The Baltimore Ravens must not get out coached. Number four, the Baltimore Ravens must be special on special teams. Now, that's not to say that Dallas did something wrong on special teams, but they were not special. Here's what I mean. When Dallas recognized that Green Bay was there to play, There had to be something that Dallas had up their sleeve. It had to be in the cards that Dallas uh, was in a fight for their playoff lives. And so special teams, the reason why they're special is because there should be something that you're able to pull out to give your team a spark. And Dallas did not have one. The Baltimore Ravens have great special teams. In fact, John Harbaugh made his bones um, in the league, meaning he built his foundation in the league as a special teams coach. We must have some tricks up our sleeve to make sure we keep the advantage at home on Saturday, whether it's a Jordan Stout punt that pins Houston inside their 10, whether it's a kickoff that you purposely kick short to force a return and maybe get a tackle at the 15 versus the 25, whether it's a um, 4th and 2 and you line up in punt formation, but you go for it. There must be something up our sleeve on special teams to give our team a spark if we need it. If it's a called return, it's kind of a special return, have something in place because Dallas was not able to pull their card uh, when needed in order to get a spark, and it costed them. And number five, the fifth thing, which is probably the first thing that we need from Baltimore this weekend, is they must have a healthy fear of their opponent. When you saw Dallas show up on Sunday, they came out overconfident. Be confident, but don't be overconfident, because when you're overconfident, you will underestimate your opponent. You will not take them seriously. And that's what you saw from Dallas. See, Dallas, I believe, had listened to all of the pundits. Oh, Dallas should win this game at home. And, everybody was talking about how Dallas should win this game and they should win it handily. Why? Because Dallas had won in a big fashion at home all year long. And when you saw Green Bay come out and punch Dallas in the face, Dallas did not have a response. Why? Underestimated. They did not have a healthy fear. A healthy fear doesn't mean that you are afraid. A healthy fear means you have a level of respect for whoever you're facing. The Baltimore Ravens must have an understanding that this is a young team who don't know enough to know they're ahead of schedule. The Houston Texans is ahead of schedule this year. They did not get the memo, and if they did, they balled it up and threw it in the trash. What was the memo? That it wasn't their time yet. They didn't get the memo that the AFC South was supposed to transition from the Colts in the days of old to the Titans, from the Titans to Trevor Lawrence and the Jags. And then at some point, Houston will get in there. They came in, drafted young. They drafted well. C.J. Stroud, cornerstone, of course. Will Anderson, cornerstone, of course. And they showed up and they ball. So they don't even know enough to not to know that they're ahead of schedule. So you're not going to come in and ask them to say, you know what, we're the Ravens, we're the number one seed. Y'all need to bow down. No, no, no. You're going to have to make them bow down. But with a healthy fear, having an understanding that CJ Stroud has elite accuracy. Where he wants to put the ball, he puts the ball. So that's where we have to be. Character, which was the number one thing I mentioned, right place, right time in our secondary. That's why we have to set the edge with our front. That's why we have to push the pocket. That's why when we put our hands on CJ Stroud, we must bring him to the ground. We have to make Houston do something they haven't done all year long. No, and that is turn the ball over and get into a panic, because it's really hard to speed this team up. So having a healthy fear is super important. Having a healthy fear of who you're playing, but staying confident in who you are. Those are the five things we did not see from the Dallas Cowboys. And if the Baltimore Ravens avoid those five mistakes, they should come out of this weekend with a victory. I'm your guy, Boulanger. Let me know anything you would like to include. Drop that in the comment section. Please hit the like button if you're watching this video. I appreciate you guys, and I'm out.